Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Funnel Trade. I was talking with a patron about the 3 levels of investor video I made a week or two ago, and they asked me what I thought about having debt and whether you could be a level 3 investor if you still had debt. And we have such a psychotic relationship with debt in our society because I don't think it'll be controversial to say that we're a very materialistic society and we want instant gratification. And so then if you offer a lot of debt to people, a lot of them will take it and use it irresponsibly. And so that's the real danger of debt. I think overall, debt itself is neither good nor bad. It's like alcohol. I mean, you can enjoy alcohol and use it to relax you at the end of a day, or you can use it irresponsibly and lose control of yourself and get in trouble. And I think debt is the same way. You know, if you have student loan debt, but you used it to get a valuable degree that allowed you to get a lucrative career, then that's very good debt to take on. That's, in fact, some of the best debt you can ever take on as long as you are getting a useful degree and then you actually use it to get a career to make a lot of money. I have a mortgage on my house. And in 2020, when mortgage rates fell to 3%, I refinanced and took a bunch of money out of my home equity and invested it. And I've gotten returns that are much higher than the 3% that I pay on the mortgage. So essentially, I took a loan at 3% interest rate to invest in order to get a better return. And I know some people would say, well, that's just crazy and it's irresponsible or it's dangerous. I guess it's worked out, and I'll probably have a mortgage until the day I die. I mean, I don't expect to pay off my house. If there comes a time 5 years from now when mortgage rates are 3% again, I'll probably refinance my house again and take out a bunch of equity to invest because just about any investment beats 3%. In the same vein, I always have at least one 0% business credit card for Final Trade. And, I load it up, and typically those kind of introductory rates of 0% are good for 12 months. I load it up and pay it off slowly over 12 months until the point when the introductory 0% rate has expired, and I pay it off, and then I just keep it in my stable of business credit cards with all the rest in case I need credit for something on a short term. But yeah, I'll have anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 of business debt on that 0% card. But as I've explained in other videos, I'm the kind of personality where I'm not tempted to just go out and load up all the other credit cards that I have for Final Trade with a bunch of debt and then make bad decisions and end up destroying my business. And so debt is only as good as you are responsible to use it. Likewise, I have people that I work with in Final Trade, and essentially we informally extend credit to each other as we are in between deals. There may be a deal where one of us takes a bunch of product and the other person says, okay, I'll give you a bunch of product that you're interested in, a month or 2 or 3 months from now. And so essentially that's having credit, and it's 0% credit, which is the best kind for a business. So I don't think it's bad to have debt. The things I would advise against is silly debt or debt for things that you don't really need to go into debt on. I am a big proponent of buying used cars and just not spending a lot of money on vehicles. I have a completely utilitarian view towards vehicles. I don't feel like I'm flexing on anybody when I roll up on them in my Ford Escape. And so I don't have that need to do that. And so I don't really care what I drive as long as it has at least 3 wheels and it gets me there. And so I'm never going to take some huge amount of debt for a vehicle that's going to start depreciating like a stone the day that I buy it. So I think that's definitely a very, very, very bad kind of debt to have. But like I said, a mortgage, especially at the kind of low rates we were able to finance into back in 2020 at 3%, that's a really good type of debt to have. And especially if you already have a house and you can refi at 3% and pull out huge amounts of equity and invest that in ways that are lucrative, yeah, that's very smart usage of debt. So you just have to think about it that way. Are you being smart with your debt? Are you taking useful debt that's going to make you wealthier and improve your life? Or are you taking debt on things that are going to fall in value and that you could substitute with some other thing that doesn't cost as much? And the vehicles are the big one for me, because it's kind of a joke in engineering that when you get your first engineering job, you go and you buy a new vehicle. It's kind of like people who join the military and get back from their first deployment and they have a ton of money and they go buy a huge pickup truck. It's that same kind of thing with engineers. Like, you suddenly get out of college, you're poor, and then you get an $80,000 or $90,000 new grad job as an engineer, and suddenly you've got this giant paycheck and you go buy a ridiculous car. And so it's the kind of thing that I see a lot, but I think that's really the bad kind of debt. And so if you're in debt with student loans for a good degree that makes a lot of money, that's fine. Don't worry about that. I'm in debt with a mortgage, with 0% credit cards that help grow Final Trade. I don't think it's an issue. I could pay them all off today, but you will accumulate more wealth, keeping those business opportunities open and keeping those investments in the market that you bought with that money you got out of your mortgage at 3%. So take a more nuanced view towards debt. And you have to have a nuanced, introspective view towards yourself and your personality. Because again, if you're an impulsive person who makes poor choices and doesn't think very long about things, and you're not patient at all, then you're probably going to make a lot of bad decisions if you go and get a bunch of credit cards and get access to big lines of credit. But if you're patient and you're willing to do the work and go slowly and be disciplined with what you use that credit for, then you can use debt as a very, very, very powerful tool to grow your wealth and grow your businesses. So it's a nuanced subject, but don't be afraid of debt just on its own. It's a tool like any other tool. And so if you can use an introductory 0% credit card with a $20,000 credit limit, and you think that you'll be capable of paying that off before you'll ever owe a single dollar of interest when the introductory rate expires, then maybe that's a good thing for you and your business in order to grow it faster. But if you have more than a certain amount of doubt about your ability to pay that off before that rate expires, then don't do it. So you have to be honest with yourself about who you are. Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks to everyone who makes this content possible, especially my very generous supporters on Patreon. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade.